What's good in the hood, everybody? This is your host, D Doss. Glad you all decided to stay, even though I'm fashionably late. Anything after 20 minutes is rude. Anything before, fashionably late, right? Am I right? Anyhow, what's up? Glad y'all are here on 15th of January in the year of our Lord 2023. I have a special treat for you guys. I hope you're ready. As you know, I've been unrealistically neurotic with making this CERN special, because I'll go back and I'll find something else that I want to add. Then I'll say, I want to shift this first scene to the third because I want to say this here. And it's like building a puzzle before you even know it's a puzzle. It's been a mess. It's been a nice mess because I'm learning a whole lot of stuff that I didn't know. And I hope you guys enjoy it. But I've broken it down into 4 sections because it's going to be long. I was thinking of like releasing them separately, but for you guys, if you want, now I'm not going to force you. You know, I'm your fellow servant, your fellow soldier. I'm one of you. Would you guys like to see a little portion of it? Would you like to see the first, I don't know, 5-10 minutes of it, maybe? If not, I understand. Some people, I don't want to watch half a movie and then, like, they release it down the road. You know how they release these movies, like these Marvel movies? They'll put 5 minutes of it at the beginning of the one coming out before it or something like that. I don't dig that stuff. No, I appreciate that. Grande Gringo. I mean, like, because I want to get this behind me and get back in some of the Illuminati stuff, because there's some weird shit going on yet again in this country, around the world. But I like to stay abreast, and I like to keep y'all in the loop on y'all. Everybody's got families, they got work, and y'all don't really have time to look into a whole lot of this stuff. And there's a lot of things you can miss. That's why y'all got me. And as promised, no, I've hit the brakes a little bit, but as promised, all you dog man and Bigfoot nuts are gonna be in for a good surprise. I was just thinking, I was listening to some unreleased stuff from Big Homie, and they got the old idea machine cranked up again. So you're gonna be seeing stuff that's never been done before, especially. Listen to me, especially. Sound like a 9-year-old, especially in the cryptid field, right? Now, as you see the title of the show, maybe some of y'all did. I don't know. I don't think a lot of y'all pay attention. Y'all just come in and chop it up with me, which is fine. But the good old Pepsi challenge from my first year on YouTube. You see in this cryptid field that I've pseudo walked away from, because it's a research field in name. You know what I'm saying? But having gone to school and done real collegiate research and knowing what that entails, no one, including myself, that I've seen is doing legitimate research in the cryptid field. There's some, but for whatever reason, they were like me when they first started. They were Boots on the ground guys doing legitimate research. But who do you turn that into? There's not a room at the Office of the Interior or the Department of the Interior where you can deal with. There's not a Secretary of Cryptid Activity in that building. If there is, there's not a sign on the door. I used to believe that disclosure was coming because of the uptick in activity, but I really don't. I really don't believe we're ever going to see an official government document or announcement saying that there's monsters in the woods, as well as many rural areas, probably very close to you, and in some cities where there is enough forestry for them to hide. I used to not believe in the urban Bigfoot or the urban dog man until I really started paying attention. The one case that is in my hometown is just a stone's throw away from my front door in the hobo jungle, which if you know the hobo jungle, it makes sense. And of course, the puppy used that as an opportunity to escape, jump on the stream, and then she's like she knows it. She's just baiting, dude, waiting with bated breath. But I digress. Anyways, going back to my first year, the Pepsi challenge. There was a lot of people, and this is when I realized I'm not good at proving anything, even when people see the evidence of it, because I don't have that. I sincerely don't care enough if you don't believe in it to try to convince you. I can give you the formula on how to find out for yourself, but that's where the Pepsi challenge came in because young and full of fire, like bacon grease left on the stove with fire on. I'll just tell them take the Pepsi challenge, or I'll take it. You find me a spot of woods near you, and I'll look at it on a topo map, Google Earth, and I'm not going to tell you about it, but I'll see if the conditions meet the criteria for an encounter, and I'll take you in there and give me 3 days. Usually, it only take one, but like give myself some breathing room, and I'll show you. Or better yet, go out there by yourself without a tent. I'll find the area for you near you, and sleep out wherever you want to. Get comfortable under the sky, and you'll have an encounter. Because I notice there's a lot of people, and I've been sneaking around looking at other people's stuff, just seeing how the fields change, which it has drastically in just a few years. There's a lot more, what do you call it, eyewitnesses and experiencers who have one, two, maybe three sightings over the course of years, most times decades. And on the being propelled from that, they move forward, which is beautiful. It's great. You know, YouTube's in a bunch of free countries, right? They'll move forward and bring on these people who, again, there's no real researchers. So there's a lot of information being delineated through the filters of these shows, and who's to say if any of it's viable except the people who adamantly inundate themselves in these active areas, these researchers that nobody hears about. Because I guarantee you, a lot of you haven't heard about Kirk Stokes. Out of everyone who looks into Dogman, I mean, he is the king of Dogman, straight up. As far as field researcher, he's a field investigator. I'm sorry. He's also one of the co-founders of the BDRP. Um, After my encounter, my first one, which wasn't a sighting, it was a what would you call it? I heard it whistle, and I heard it follow me out of the woods. An experience, I guess. After that experience, I started looking into these cryptids, and I ran across Kirk's channel. Somebody was being very, very rude and disingenuous in the chat, and I checked him. I mean, like a voter registration card. And we started a online correspondence through email. I gave him my number. He was gracious enough to call, and a friendship was born over an 8-hour phone call. During this 8-hour phone call, we heard everything from, and he told me at the very beginning of it, they're probably going to be listening to us. And I was like, yeah, okay. They do a lot, don't they? But over the course of this 8-hour phone call, we heard fax machines, what sounded like an office full of women on keyboards. Strange, odd interference that I've never heard before or since on any telephone, landline, or cell phone. And it sounded like somebody tapped into the phone. You know, when you hear these clicks, old school house phones, somebody else is in a different room, they pick up the phone and listen. It's very, very nuts. But anyways, um, Kirk Stokes. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be putting it together another video package. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, he removed a lot of his content from his channel. I'm not sure what that's all about, but he is still, he's still talking to a lot of people. I haven't got to speak to him in a little bit, but he taught me probably more than any field investigator besides Tim Kumbo Baker. If there was ever a university for the knowledge of cryptids, he would definitely be a tenured professor. Besides Kirk and a few more, nobody knows these creatures out there, the precise, intimate details of their activities, behaviors, what they, nah, maybe not what they are, because everybody's got a different opinion on that. And I'll talk about that at length in a moment. But yeah, he's the professor. He knows his stuff. Um, like I said, as far as the what, folks, nobody knows. I don't know. I can tell you what I've experienced and what I believe them to be. But when you can get, let's see, this talk is cheap. And I'm in the show me state of Oklahoma. And before some smart ass gets in the comments or on the chat, I know Oklahoma's not the show me state. That's more of that classic Oklahoma humor of mine. So, as you've heard me say before, or if you knew, I believe these Bigfoot and Dogman are the beasts of the earth from the Bible. Beast of the field, beast of the earth. In Genesis, the Bible talks about the serpent being the most subtle or the most clever of all the beasts of the field. This serpent spoke to Eve. The Bible says it beguiled her, it flim-flammed her, it tricked her, right? I don't think an old water moccasin or a rattlesnake is going to be flim-flamming with the mother of us all. I just don't see that happening, especially one that's made in perfection, that's in perfection as she was. We can make all the jokes in the world, but I don't see that happening unless this serpent had a slick silver tongue. He was a silver tongued devil. Get it? And as I vamp for time, we'll go over here and keep the tradition going. Zephaniah 3421, Truth Jester, Grande Gringo, James Bowen, Tina P. Good to see you back. Rex Goodrum. My boy my boy Grande Gringo, man, he's something else. Michael C. and Corey Cole. Aaron Billings, what's up, buddy? Glad you all joined me at the spur of a moment here at the very end. And for the other late show for the other night, there was a couple of people. If you've been blocked, you may be able to participate now. Some of you have been unblocked. So, and it was a bunch of new people. Like, I'm all about new folks. Y'all come on back and join in some of these conversations and have some fun with us. Only one, what the hell? Only one soda and that's Coke. You're a Yankee, aren't you? Who just said that? The chat's going pretty fast. Michael C, you said there's only one soda and it's Coca-Cola. You're a Yankee, huh? You ain't from the South, are you? Because we drink Dr. Pepper down here, boy. I don't know where you're from, but take that Coca-Cola back to the Empire State Building, son. This show's based in the South. See, I have too much fun to actually be a host. I don't like calling myself a host. That denotes some sort of professionalism. Anyways, what I wanted to show y'all is this. Oh, maybe not. That's a demon. Never mind. I don't. I mean, I'm not. I don't like displaying like demons to y'all because I don't know how well y'all follow this field or if you actually like do any kind of back end research or research at home into this stuff. But when you see those pictures of some of these so-called creatures and they're all blurry and stuff, and you're saying, man, this guy, he's got shaky hands. He must be an alcoholic. Didn't have a drink that day. Everything's blurry. It's not the person most times. It is the environment that they're in. The electromagnetic field in these areas do something which create that anomaly. Not every single camera, different styles, whether it be digital or film in some cases, are going to display the same weird blurry anomaly. Um, it's just that's just not what it is. It is something that they bring with them as far as the environment, as well as the environment that they're in that's causing that. All right, two things. Boom and boom. All right. I'm going to show you two sides of this field that really nobody else is going to they're not going to show you. They're not going to explain it to you. Um they may flash it up there and say a lot of nonsense and move on with their show, but I'm going to try to break it down for you as much as time would dictate. Now, this one, first one you're going to see, this is, let me get back to you, see if you can see it. Don't want to do that. This is a demonic entity. If you notice, this is the inside of a closet. The doors aren't on the hinges. You'll see a face towards the middle. I showed this on the show we did with the ghostographer from New York. Great guy. What you see, the nose, the eyes peering in, this is after fervent, feverish prayer for a woman who has the Amityville horror at her house. Okay. Um, she was dealing with some very, very bad stuff. Uh, this thing was physically manifested in the wild man's closet from him praying for this woman. Because when we pray for a brother or sister or someone who's lost or a heathen wanting to make right with the Lord, those prayers are two-way road. You can be doing everything right, and when you get on that highway and it stops being that one lane that you're used to, and it opens up to the two lanes to that person, it's not that you're coming into agreement with them, but for a moment, let's say Joe Blow. Joe Blow, I mean, he watches porn, he cheats on his wife. She left him. He's sitting at the house by himself. He's got a spirit of heaviness. He's drinking real heavy, which is bringing in more spirits. He's getting in fights. So that's the spirit of anger. He's got all the spirit, little s. He's inundated with it. They're attached to him. They're telling him nobody loves him, and they're telling him he shouldn't love himself. They're to the point where they are occupying him because the human spirit is something amazing, folks. Even people who don't believe in God, even people who have no faith in anything but their own abilities, that don't believe in an actual spirit that will survive past the death of the body, have spiritual rights. I mean, it is what it is. Um, it's possible Dogman is demonic by strict definition. We'll get into that too. And that's sort of what I'm talking about right now. So Joe Blow, he's in a bad way, folks. Um, let's say the wild man reaches out to him. Wild man's dyed in the wool dog from life. He used to get in bar brawls, bounce, beat up people, drank himself, cheated on his wife himself. He was a bad dude. And one moment of clarity, he cried out to a gracious Lord, and the Lord saved him, gave him a yoke. And that yoke was to help folks who have problems with the demoniac. So he calls the wild man, still rough around the edges. Joe Blow hears about the wild man. The wild man tells him straight up in no uncertain terms, hey, you're messing up, and these things are going to kill you. That's their MO. Read Mark 5, unless you do X, Y, and Z. So Joe Blow does X and Y, and he skips Z because Z bringing him a little bit of pleasure. Z's this hidden sin that nobody knows about or he thinks nobody knows about. And he don't want to get rid of it. And it's not that bad. He's not hurting anybody. So he does X and Y. The wild man does his thing. Holy Spirit moves through him. Lawman's now a co-participant in alleviating Joe Blow from these sins, right? So this man can be free. He gets free. He cleans his house because there's beer cans all over the place. He's living like a bum. Cleans his house. Everything's beautiful. His kids are starting to come back. His wife's calling him again. Everything looks like it's turning up, roses. But he didn't do Z. He likes it. He don't want to get rid of it. So these things, they're thrown out into the dry places, as the Lord said. Dry meaning desolate. Desolate meaning not inhabited, like old growth forests. So, as it says in the infallible text, this demon looks at Joe Blow as his house. They're just doing what they do. You know what I mean? Like, hey, he knew what time it was. He knew not to watch that porn. Blah, blah, blah. So the demon's mad. He comes back with 7 more wicked than himself. But Joe Blow, the house is clean, refurbished, refurnished. So all it has to do is it sits outside mad about it, looking in the windows like a pervert, like a peeping Tom, just waiting for the house to get dirty again so he can come back in an environment that he is comfortable being in, right? Like I just showed you. When the wild man went to Joe Blow, unfortunately, and the wild man knows this, the wild man's he may have a screw or two loose. He hates the adversary. The wild man does. He doesn't care if it brings him unto death. He thinks that'll be a glorious death, to die fighting the adversary with the capital A. And he don't care. But what he does care about is someone not listening and putting themselves in a jam. So the wild man reluctantly helps Joe Blow the second time because, of course, he didn't do Z. Z left the door open, and they came back. And as it says in the Bible, the end was a whole lot worse than it was in the beginning. That brings me to the next one. Now, some of you folks may see this, some may not, but for those with eyes to see, this is a picture out of a place called Brown Springs. You're looking at the front part of a nest. This large blurry thing in front's a tree. It's like 20 some odd yards away. Inside of this, and you can take this and put it in whatever filter you want. Inside of this nest that you're looking into is a juvenile Sasquatch with all sorts of other weird stuff in there. Some spiritual, some physical. How do you tell the difference? How do you tell the difference? A lot of people believe that they're all demons, right? Everything's a demon. I mean, you can kind of stay a little bit safer that way, but that's not necessarily so. The simple fact of the matter is there's something going on that's of a spiritual nature. That spiritual nature in this field is 92% demonic, straight up. See, in this little pocket universe, in this microverse, this microcosm, there's everything. You got good people, bad people, everything you could imagine, because the word community, togetherness, it is a community. It's a community of different people. So I say all that to say this: for you new folks, or folks that are doubtful, or people that just want to know because your curiosity is just beating you upside your head and you have to know. I'm reissuing the Pepsi challenge. So if anybody wants to email me, it's oklahomados@gmail.com. Yeah, I mean, you get instructions. I'll show you. I'll show you where they are. And you can go out and see for yourself. Just know that us being spiritual creatures, no matter what we believe in, even if our God is ourself or our wife, husbands, our children, our jobs, money, you are a spiritual creature. So you have it innately in you to find spiritual leadership. Even if you're not actively doing it, your subconscious, if there is no spiritual leadership, will actively seek it. That's why a lot of you are listening to shows like this and others. That's why you fall asleep listening to Dog Man, even though deep down inside, some of this stuff is absolutely, positively demonic. Straight up. We call him Dogman now. The lovely Miss Linda Godfrey. I have the pleasure of interviewing her. Great woman. God rest her. You know, we'll see her up there drinking from the fountains of the waters of life that flow from God's throne. Uh, Very gracious woman, very godly woman. She, and it came from the song, I know, but she put it into mass use, the word dog man. Before that, there was a more accurate term of werewolf. That's what I believe a bunch of this stuff is. Whether you want to call it a skinwalker, a werewolf, a changeling, whatever the case is, most of these things that people are calling dogman, most, not all, because I've seen evidence that some of them are born of their own kind. Um, Strangely enough, like there's dogman pups. I have a picture of dogman pups and Sasquatch in a nest together. Would you like to see? Sure, you would. But yes, I believe that most of this stuff is absolutely satanic. Not even demonic, satanic. Because if you know anything about werewolves or skinwalkers, and the strange thing is, the curious thing is, the Germanic werewolf, where it really took off, that whole thought of this thing being a man that's transforming himself into something. That came from Germanic so-called folklore, but it goes even further back than that. The Cynocephali, from biblical times even. Um, they were always men who either did something wicked or who actively sought to do something wicked to knowingly transform into this wolf. I believe there's an old tale of the Romulus and Remus. Romulus and Remus, the twins that were raised by wolves that ended up making their own kingdoms. These kingdoms warred against each other. And the winner, Romulus, made a giant empire that we know as Rome, raised by wolves. The wolf is a very, very important character in a lot of religions and a lot of pantheons. Uh, it is what it is. I mean, like you find it everywhere. Skinwalkers and Native American, what do they call it? Where they tell their grandkids and their grandkids tell their grandkids, oral traditions. And the oral traditions of many of the Native American tribes, these skinwalkers, were these medicine men who would, sit in a cave somewhere in the dark by themselves, uh, go through these rituals, get whatever the skin from whatever animal that they want to transform into. And at the very end of these rituals, they kill someone that they sincerely love, which it's just, that's madness to say. That I don't see how that's possible, but whatever. If you can sincerely love someone, how do you have it in you to murder that person? That's madness. But whatever. Um, they would murder somebody they sincerely love, and then take their blood and do some more rituals, and sit back in this cave and wear the skin. And after 2 days or 3 nights or however long it says in their oral traditions and their folklore, would be able to at will transform into this creature. But it would never be perfect. There would always be something off, because God's the only thing that makes things perfect. They're not making anything, they're perverting something. So let's get in the boat and go over to Germany. The the wolf's belt. It's a werewolf belt. Same thing. You were poor Germans, and I'm a father of this poor German family. I want to steal my neighbor's goods, so I'm going to kill a wolf, make it into a belt or a vest in some stories. And with this belt or this vest, I'm going to kill a neighbor or a friend, go to a cemetery, sit in the full moon with this belt on, and after that full moon, when leave before the sun comes up, and after that, I can transform at will into a werewolf. Mighty funny that two peoples who allegedly had nothing to do with each other their peoples are telling the exact same story of a transformation into a wolf. You folks have heard the same things I have. And I have it from reliable sources who were there and witnessed it with their eyeball. They saw it themselves. And I'm not going to throw this person out there, but it's a source that I trust more than probably anybody in this field when it comes to field investigations. This person went in one of the thickest, densest forests in this nation, the thickest and densest forest, actually, where he had to trek for 2 days to get to the spot where he got this phenomenal evidence. He said inside this deep forest where either you're going to be hiking for days or you're going to be in a helicopter to get there. At night, he hears a bunch of chanting and dancing and singing and laughing. He sees this glow from a fire in the distance. He walks there. It's the middle of the night. It's crazy dark because there's a canopy over this forest. And he hides in the darkness and sees these people in these red robes dancing and laughing around a fire. As this comes to a fever point and they're going crazy, they all stop. It's dead silent, and they sacrifice something. To quote this person directly, they sacrifice something, not an animal. And after this, there's some sort of a weird chant, and the fire turns from orange to green. If you've ever heard anybody give you a testimony of hell, and it's a true testimony, and I've got one face to face before I heard anybody's online or anywhere else, they'll tell you the fires of hell are green. This fire turns green, and it sounds like King Kong's shotgun went off. Boom! Werewolf flies into the air, lands, looks at the people, and takes off into the woods. Suffice it to say, this person probably boo-booed on themselves and got some yonder. So, folks, just be careful, be prayed up. And if you think it's all a gag, take the Pepsi challenge. For all who do, I will send you an exclusive, I don't know, telephone call. I'm not buying you nothing for going out there and seeing the monsters. But yeah, so I mean, because you'll see a lot of, it doesn't happen on this channel a whole lot, hardly ever, but I'll see it on a lot of people's channel, even folks I don't even care for. But it's not fair to that person or even the people who's typing this junk out to just write it off, because I mean, these things affect people in a negative way. I've talked to, I can't tell you how many grown men, stoic old school men, like good John Wayne types that'll punch you in the mouth for insulting their friends or family, cry on the phone because they have this fear that never existed in them before about these monsters. About these monsters. So, what's up, War Cry Podcast? One man band. Hey, I remember you. It has been a while, man. Good seeing there. Yeah, Dogman jumped from the fire. It jumped from this fire that they were dancing around after they made this sacrifice. So, what do we have so far? We have a natural creature that's procreating, eating, drinking, dying. You know, it's doing things like another animal does. Then you have this other bastard jumping from a fire. If it's coming out of the middle of some big bonfire that changes colors after some satanic rituals going on, I'd say it's a safe bet that's not a good. That's probably not one of the good ones. It's not a good thing. It's probably demonic. Just throwing something against the wall there. Then you have the most disgusting of them all. Someone who wants to transform into an animal for whatever reason, and he or she is murdering folks to meet that end. And there you have your dog man. So I know there's a type 1, type 3, A, B, C, and D, or whatever the hell was put out there a handful of years ago. And that's all that anybody's mind can comprehend or understand. But no, that's not telling you anything. That's just some cool drawings done by a pretty good artist of things that people have seen, definitely. But there's more out there than that. I don't believe any two are the same. You ever seen two German shepherds that look exactly alike? They look a lot alike. Not exactly. They're their own individuals. I have heard I've heard zero negative interactions with any of the forest people. What? Who are the forest people? Bigfoot and all them? I mean, Okay. There's negative interactions with, if you're talking about Sasquatch, there's negative interactions. They for instance, I have this recorded for you. I have a bunch of stuff recorded for y'all. I need to get on my game. But this was one from the old channel. I want to say Jared Indio Loco, but I know it's not him. It's a dude who lived in Miss Christie, who are we talking about? Oh, for yourself. All right, darling. I got you. I had what I perceived to be at the time negative interactions, but I can go in Brown Springs after having not been in there for 2 years, and that's a part of the Pepsi challenge for my research area. I dare somebody to walk in there 2-3 miles with me to where they are, and I let them hit me as hard as they could, right in the mouth, right in the chops. I mean, like lay into me. I'm a pretty big old boy. I can take a good punch, and sock me right in the mouth and give me 30 to 35 minutes time to walk away. And after that time, they walk away. And if they can walk and not run, I will do their dishes from here to the Ragnarok. It won't happen. For whatever reason, I don't know if it's from spending so much time in there or what, but like these physical creatures, not something that's manifesting out of some portal or changing from a man to a monster. It's these physical creatures, and I don't feel comfortable calling them people because people denotes humanity, and God made us in His image. They're not made in His image, so I mean, like I'm not trying to be dismissive or rude, but I don't believe them to be people. I don't believe they're all wicked, but just like the Catholic Church that puts out the notes of their exorcisms, they plainly state that dogs, cats, birds, and other animals have been possessed by spirits. What's stopping this thing, no matter how close it is to us, from being possessed by a spirit? A gorilla can't pray. There's some sort of a sapien, right? Like a chimpanzee or an orangutan can't. And we're supposedly only a few chromosomes away from them. They can be possessed. I think a demon can twirl a cane like Fred Astaire and walk right into him and right out if it wanted to. That's just my opinion based on biblical facts and some science, falsely so called. But in saying that, I do wholeheartedly believe that these things have killed people. Miss Christie, there was I told the folks this, and this because it was riding on my heart for years. I have a relative when I first started the research, and I had all my film. I put it on the channel. A lot of people saw it, a lot of people didn't. I never put any descriptions on it. Just like now, if you saw it, you saw it. If you didn't, oh well, I didn't really care. But this close relative was at the house when I was going through the film. And yes, ma'am. I know. I'm not picking on you. I talk to everybody. That's why I don't like usually have guests. I like the interaction. I hope I'm not coming across as rude. I know you didn't know. And yeah, that's just my opinion. I don't believe that they're people. I think they're beasts. And if you look in the Bible at what God created right before He created man, it'll start making sense. I guess the easiest way to put it is they're us without God's image. They're the beasts of the earth. But I digress. This close relative was watching me go through this film, right? Because I go in and I'd watch it all the way through, then I'd watch it again and stop at points that seemed interesting. Then I go on the computer, break it down, no matter how long it was, at 60 frames per second. So you got to think those are 60 individual frames, pictures per second of however long the film is. So suffice it to say, I went through a lot of pictures, a lot of film. But as I'm watching it, this person says, "D, where you at?" I'm like, "I'm on the Red River. Um, I'm on the Red River, they're right down the road." And they're like, "No, you're at the zoo." I'm like, "No, I'm not at the zoo. It's the red. It's the Red River." This person thought I was at a gorilla exhibit because it looked like a gorilla who camouflaged in with the foliage of fall, and it had like a little baby gorilla on its head. And I said, it's really not a gorilla. It's something else. But I can take you to go see him if you don't believe it. And I mean, they won't do nothing to you. And this person said, I can't go with you. I can't go see them because they'll kill me because I'm a bad person. Flash forward. Still living in the same place down in Texas. This ex-girlfriend's friend comes in, this guy, and doing the same thing. I'm going through film, and this person actually knew what was going on. He knew what he was looking at. And because he watched some of the stuff on my channel. He wasn't really big into it, but he went to this park that has this creek going through it. And he was a little amateur photographer or whatever. And he saw these pictures, and he said, man, it looks like there's faces in it. And he brought it over and let me look at it. I was like, man, some of this stuff looks like it's you could see through it. Said some of this stuff is ethereal. I didn't say they were demon. I said some of this stuff is ethereal, but one or two of these faces are physical. You can't see through it. You see their symmetry. It's blending in with the foliage, but see how the face shines, and it's somehow soaking in the surrounding light and colors to blend in better. That's something physical. And he saw it and recognized it. I could see the wheels turning upstairs, and he stops for a minute and puts his head down. I was like, bro, like they're literally a couple of miles away. We can go see them right now. And he said no, he couldn't go with me because they'd kill him because he's a bad person. Same house, same circumstances. These two, this relative and this other person, didn't know each other, had nothing to do with each other, never met, never spoke. Said verbatim what I just told you. But I'll put that in the file cabinet as being extremely weird. And nothing else comes of it, so I never think about it again, right? Flash forward 3.5, almost 4 years. I'm talking to Duke from Duke Sullivan. I'll never forget, I'm going through this dollar store because I had a hankering for some Fruity Pebbles. And that's the one with Fred Flintstone, the cereal with Fred Flintstone on it. Like I was jonesing for some Fruity Pebbles. Because I mean the milk, like it's not, people say, oh, it's Fruit Loops. It's not Fruit Loops. That milk, when those Fruity Pebbles get soggy, oh, they could bottle that up, and I'd buy that bottle of milk. But I digress. Talking to Duke, and I'm going through there. We're chopping it up. We're gonna do something. We're trying to do a collaboration or something, but we're just talking. And he mentions this another field investigator who's an Indian gentleman, Native American. I forgot. I'm from Oklahoma, so if I say Indian, don't cry foul because all the Indians around here that I grew up with call themselves Indian, and they get mad when people call them Native Americans. So beat it, Creek. Anyways, I had to read the riot act to this imaginary straw man, but this Native American gentleman, he's up there on the res where he grew up, talking to some of his cousins, and see these. Thank you, bro. One man band. I dated this girl that had Indian tattooed on her knuckle, bro. She was this was high school. I didn't know no better. Anyways, this gentleman is a good field investigator. I've spoken to him a few times. I mean, we're not cut from the same cloth spiritually necessarily, but I respect him. He knows his stuff, but he's talking to his cousins. And then, mind you, I'm going through DG, pushing a basket, looking for my Fruity Pebbles. And Duke's telling me this, and I'm listening, and he doesn't know anything. Nobody really knows what I just told y'all until recently. But he said that his cousins wouldn't go with him because they were scared, because they would go in there because they were drunk, that then things would kill them, and they said they'd kill them because they're bad people. I dropped my Fruity Pebbles on the ground because it was kind of, when you go in some of these stores, they got metal roofs, and I thought I heard them, but I didn't know, so I dart out of the store. As I dart out of the store, the call does drop, and I call him back, and I asked him to repeat what he said verbatim. Sure enough, these Native Americans on this reservation in the Northwest said that they can't go out there where these creatures are because these creatures would kill them because they're bad people. So, Miss Christie, I told you that to tell you this: the forest people. Just because I don't refer to them that way, don't mean that and just because I think that some of them are harming people, that don't mean I think they're evil. The actual physical kind, I'd like to read you something from. I don't know your faith, but I'm a born again believer in the Lord Jesus Christ. I'm a soldier, as Paul called it, for Christ. I'd like to read you something from the infallible text. And this may give you a little bit of clarity on what I believe them to be and why I think they're there, and why I think even if they have 10,000 acres behind them, that they're right on the tree line and they watch us so close. And even though they're scary, when we see them, they make sure they leave. Even if they walk out in front of a trail, even the mean ones, they don't touch people. Right? You're right. There's a reason for that, and I think people better get ready because we are close. No man knoweth the time. Not even myself, said the Lord Jesus Christ. Only my Father is in heaven. So this is from Revelation chapter number 6. A lot of people know 6. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but this is when the four riders mount up, right? The Euphrates River is drawn up, and there's pictures, not pictures, I'm sorry, there's pictures of caves and caverns and tunnels that even the old folks didn't know was there. Let me tell you something, folks. When you get in some of these old countries like that have been around for literally thousands of years, us Americans are kind of silly. We think just because we're this infant country that everybody has the same mindset that we do. No, 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 not at all. Um, these people didn't know those tunnels were down there, and there's voices coming up from these holes. I gave up religion a long time ago. I'm not a religious person whatsoever. I didn't mean to make that mistake. Um, religion isn't. I mean, I don't care about the religious practices of man. God don't either. He don't care how you worship. He cares who you worship. But so don't worry about that. I'm like I said, I'm a faith-filled person and born again believer. Um, you can't have faith until you have religion, like that old song from the 40s says. Again, I digress. This is from Revelation chapter 6 and verse number 8. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. Everybody stops right there, but there's more in 6:8. And power was given unto them. Who are them? And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. When you look at this beast and take it back to the Greek translation, then you look at the beast in Genesis that was the serpent, the Nakash, and take that to the Hebrew translation of beast and put that Hebrew and that Greek next to each other and translate them back to English and look at that definition. It's talking about the same type of creature. It's not talking about a beast of burden. It's not a fox, nor a bear, nor a lion. It's none of that. It's something else. Something else. This beast is going to be used in the end game. It's going to be used to judge the earth. God can use whatever he wants to. He's the creator of reality as we know and experience it. He can get a bunch of mailmen, turn them into Superman, and have them punish us if he wanted to. But it's saying straight up, beast of the earth. In the book of Job, what did the devil say? When God said, "Hey, yo, where you been? What you got going?" What did he say? He said, "I've been going to and fro in the earth and up and down in it." They change that in every translation. Every translation. I wonder why that is. When you get back to when you get back to the Bible, the transliteration, simply taking that Hebrew, Assyrian, that Latin, a little bit of Latin in that in the Koine Greek, and taking those words and putting them in their English equivalent, so you're not losing the context of what those founders of our faith wrote. That seems simple enough. But no, we want to make it easier for people to read. We want the Bible to be easier to access for all. Yeah, you bet. Hopefully they'll hold on to it when they fall into hell. But anyways, my maternal grandfather was full-blood Choctaw. Well, that's crazy. My maternal grandfather was full-blood Negro. Ain't life grand? I mean, like, what's crazy, and this isn't a besmirchment on anybody. I love everybody. Mostly everybody. But when I started, up to this day, if there weren't private correspondence, I could show you to prove it. But tribes from Oklahoma all the way up to Washington, they'll call me and ask me like what tribe I belong to. They say you get too close to the creatures. You have to be an Indian. You have to be Native American. Have you ever looked into your history? Have you ever done your genealogy? Like, listen, I mean, we're colored folks going all the way back on one side, going all the way back to England, the Smiths, like literally. And not everybody was slaves that was black folks. Sorry. I mean, that's just not true. Going all the way back to England on one side. And on my dad's side, like, they hawed around all over the United States. Escaped from slavery, some of the Dawsons. That's what the Dawson names come from the Scots that are, the Scots that own the German Scots. So there's this crazy, like, sort of notion in the cryptid field that if you have any kind of innate knowledge, or you can somehow get close to the creatures, or get close enough to get any kind of good film, or have what they would consider a wisdom about the spirituality of it all, because what they said is true. They are technically the guardians of the spirit world. That's what they call them, the boss of the woods. They're the guardians of the spirit world. But when people hear that, they're thinking they're guarding the spirit. No, think about it. You got these physical beasts occupying the same space as these invisible demonic entities and fallen angels, I believe. So, reading Revelation 6:8, if they're the beasts of the earth that God made, who are they guarding? Are they keeping us out of the woods? Because you're right, Christy, in a way. Like, you are right. There's not a lot of people being killed by these things, I don't believe. Not a lot. There's some, but not a lot. Because if they wanted to, there would be nobody in the rural areas whatsoever. There would be no Girl Scout ever coming home. Never, ever again. Every place that had any kind of cover that's off of a creek or a river, they would smoke everybody's game, and they would not drop a bead of sweat. There's no doubt in my mind. And you hear a lot of these stories and encounters, like, say, I'm sure it happens sometimes. I've seen videos of the black helicopters and all that over these active areas. But from the stuff that I've seen, Miss Chrissy, there's an alpha female in my area. And I think that's the one that, like, she digs me for some reason. I got my theories on that. I think it's the O negative blood. I don't know. Maybe it's because I go in there and, like, I'm entertaining too. I have no idea. But there's no doubt in my mind I could drive down there 30, 35 minutes away tonight and go in there, and, like, a couple of them would try to, intimidate me, but nothing happened to me. Like some of these native tribes say, they're the guardians of the spirit world, but are they guarding us from what's out there? Are they guarding what's out there from us? What are they doing basically? They're chasing people out of the woods. They're scaring them so they can get some yonder, as we say down here in Oklahoma. And believe me, there's some of the stuff I've seen in there. It makes you want to get some yonder. The alpha male made me get some yonder. All he had to do is stand there with a bunch of dew on him behind some trees. Literally stand still and me see him. And this is going in there for a couple of years at this point in time. In the old cartoons where they take off and you see their silhouette in smoke? That was your boy. So, yeah. Take the Pepsi challenge. Go out there and see for yourself. People think it's a game. They think it's a bunch of stories, and they fall asleep and they kind of tremble under their covers, and make sure that they close the closet door and all that kind of stuff. They turn on the TV, leave the TV on all night, and man, dang, D might as well volunteer as a tribute. Let me tell you something. I'll volunteer. Yeah, I'll be the tribute to them, because they are false gods. There's people that worship these things, as you know. Yeah, I'll be a tribute to them. I'm Beowulf, bro. Like, the beast has no weapon, and neither shall I. I'll go out there and I'll beat one of these things to death with my bare hands. There's this teenager. I'll show you a video of the teenager. I just cleaned it up again. This thing wanted to smoke my game. It wanted me out of there. It would wait for me to make a mistake, and when I didn't, it showed itself, and it was glaring at me like, you son of a. I just felt like there was something stopping it. I mean, I didn't feel any fear from it. It's the one that rushed me too. I can't tell you for a fact. It's just what I feel. It's the one that what they call bluff. It's the one that bluff charged me. And I remember looking down in its face, and like, my heart didn't even skip a beat. It was weird, and I kind of had like an anxiety attack when I got home and hit rewind. But when I was out there and it was all taking place, it didn't. I mean, it was strange, but it wasn't. It didn't scare me. I wish that thing. I wish that thing would have touched me. I would have beat the piss out. I would have beat the brakes off of it. And they know that too. They know, hey man, let's leave this cat alone. Let's let him go on ahead about his business. And said, hey homeboy, I don't want no smoke. I said, I know you don't. Keep doing what you keep playing in the dirt over there. It'll be all right. I'm just walking through. Yeah, they stood your ground, just like your people, the Choctaw said. You know the Choctaw story about the big black, and it sounds like a joke that I'm playing around a little bit with you, but this isn't a joke. They do respect that. Thank you. They respect the fact that you have courage. There's a story when the Mississippi Choctaw came to Oklahoma. This medicine man brought the big black man with it. I don't know Choctaw, but the Choctaw name sounds a whole lot cooler than it does in English because it's big black man. And the big black man was this giant squatch that the medicine man gained control over. And I find this curious, right? This story says that if you encounter one and look it in the eyes and show no fear, that you can control it. So this medicine man comes and he's dragging along the big black man. Well, this medicine man he was out of there. He was lost in the sauce or something because he was sicking this thing on people. Like it would, you know, it would hurt people. It would like hurt people, kill people, tear down their houses. It'd raise all types of hell. And somehow some of the tribe members found out it was him that was controlling it. And they went to his cabin at night and tied him down in his bed and lit the house on fire. True story. Check me out. But I thought about that after a while. There's one incident where this one guy who ended up being my field partner for a little bit because he could track his ass off. I mean, like I don't look down the track. I know where they are. Just follow the feeling that's trying to make you leave. But like he liked to play in the dirt and look at footprints and move sticks out of it and carve it out to put that plaster of Paris and all that stuff in it. That don't appeal to me. I don't care about footprints. I want to see the beast. I don't want to see Dookie. People were saying, D, why don't you get stool samples because there could be DNA, and I'm not playing around in no shit. Like I'm part of my life, but I'm not doing it. I don't care about who am I going to take that to? A bag full of Dookie. Here, take this boo-boo and scan it for DNA. No, that's not that. I'm not on that type of stuff. Anyway, I mean, like I took some hair one time, but it was a week, and I think I accidentally threw it away when I threw away like a bunch of Walmart bags or something. Like that stuff don't appeal to me. Who am I going to give it to? And if I take it to a university, I have a good friend that works at a major university in a high position. If I took it to him, he can sneak into a lab. They do the DNA study on it. Then what? Who do I turn that into? The Department of the Interior that's over all these parks and national parks and all that stuff. And what are they going to tell me? You'll see me on the news, domestic terrorists or something. If they wanted this information out there, to be out there. But anyways, let me play all this video if you want. I mean, but this is the creature. I can't prove it, but I feel it in my soul. This was the one that bluff charged me, and this is the one that it was hiding behind a tree one day, and like I saw a flash of fur as I was passing by this tree, and I can't explain how I did it because it looked like it ran off, and then I heard it slap the tree, and like limbs and stuff are falling out, like pow, and limbs and stuff are falling out on top of me. And then he threw a stick at me one time, but he threw it at me, and it hit this branch that was hanging, like right where my head was. Like I think these things are smarter than what people give them credit for. Because I think if he would have did something to me, Big Mama would have came out and spanked his bobo. Oh, that's what I like to believe. Maybe that's what I was. Maybe that's what I convinced myself of, so I could go back. But folks, like you hear all these shows, these people who've been doing this for decades. They they talk in the low and serious voice. Oh well, I was out there and it was midnight and we heard the creature and we were in our tents and blah 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 blah. I had fun. It was fun. I learned things that I didn't even know were possible to learn. I remember my mom told me these creatures were around. She grew up in Arkansas, and I think it was the movie about the Falk monster or whatever. It came on like TNT or TBS or something like that. And me being a little nerdy Godzilla watching kid, I watched it, and she was like, she came in the room and said, "Oh, that's real. That really happened." And I mean, it might as well have been wrote in scripture if Mama's saying it. So I was like, "Wow, that's BANANAS." Dadgummit. I wish DDoS would be organized where he put stuff. God. Let's see. CERN, Polyon, BDRP midday. It's ridiculous. Let's see if I don't play it. They'll say, "Oh, it don't exist." it ain't even there, D. You're making stuff up. I don't think anybody'd say that, but I always like to make the straw man just in case somebody does say it so I don't get all gassed up. The real Big Fun Hunter. Who's this? Oh, it's Mr. Biscardi. He is the real Big Fun Hunter. Mr. Tom Biscardi, he's on a different level, folks. He's the P.T. Barnum of Bigfoot. A lot of people don't like him. They badmouth him and whatnot, but he's the only Bigfoot field investigator I know of who's been on Fox Business News and had a publicly traded company on Wall Street and like that was worth $1 billion at one point in time. Is he a profiteer or a savvy businessman? I should make a documentary about him. I'm not just ranting, y'all. I am looking for it. I guess I should add it prom. This gunslinging shows. Maybe getting too old for all that. I still don't like it though, because I need to find that for something else I was putting together for you. Lame. Anyways, we're about to wrap it up anyway. So while I'm doing this, if you would like to, I know what I got for you. I'll keep that promise. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all are in for a treat. Perhaps this is a few minutes of the CERN special. If you're still interested in seeing it. Where can you find my new CERN video? It's coming out in theaters very, very soon. But you get a BDRP exclusive right now. See, I mean, I told you I love y'all. I wouldn't just do this for anybody. You're getting to see a partial painting. What was it? The painting of George Washington at the White House that like a part of it was burnt up when the Canadians burned the White House down. All right. Hopefully that's it. Hope y'all enjoy.
Is on its brink to becoming completely dry. Many Christians are keeping a close check on its development.
Physicists believe that when time began, at the moment of the Big Bang, matter and antimatter were created in equal amounts. And based on recent measurements made at CERN Laboratory in Switzerland, it seems there is perfect symmetry between the two, which they say implies that our universe should not exist.
All right, that's enough. Anyways, well, folks, the time is upon us again. So, in saying that, if you have any questions, put them in all caps before I wrap them up. I'm glad that you all joined me. I had a lot of fun. I don't think anybody who's ever really talked to themselves had as much fun because that's what it feels like for if you don't know. We're gonna have some guests coming up pretty soon. That's always fun for y'all. I've had some fire guests here lately too. Like, I mean, I've never been one to this isn't a besmirchment on anybody, but I never really liked having guests on too much. I'd rather like that's why I had a co-host. I'd rather, or if I had a guest, I like just want their opinion on something. I like to, bounce stuff off of them, talk about different topics and whatnot. But every other channel in this field has interviews with folks and fantastic interviews. That's not really my I'm not vibrating at that frequency here lately. So, and it's none but the Lord. The ones that have come through for a reason to reveal something to you guys. And I'm very well blessed in that. Because it could have been a bunch of, nonsense. People coming in here pulling flim flams and stuff, or trying to. I usually stop them at the gate, but there was on the old channel a few that slipped through. They didn't. I don't think it led to anything of consequence, but what I present to y'all, I want it to be the unequivocal 100%, no sugar, no cream truth. So if somebody slips through the cracks and they come in here on some of that nonsense, yeah, I'm not too happy about it. Dadgummit, where is it? Oh well. Yukon, you're always Johnny come lately, ain't you? Yeah, the CERN Large Hadron Collider. Yeah, they're trying to open the gates to hell. The only thing they're trying to, because all these people, they know the Bible better than a lot of people that go to church on Sundays and Wednesdays. They know that there is a Lord. They know that Jesus is God manifest in the flesh, that he'll come back and split the sky open like a scroll, and in righteousness he'll judge and make war. And they know he treads the winepress of the fierce anger of God. They know all that. So they're trying to, in my opinion, open the literal gates of hell to give them some sort of a leg up or something. And they're so stupid that they really think that they're going to like outwit God. The reality that they wake up into every day, he is the author of it. And they're going to trick them because, that's something that can be done. The arrogance of it. That's why, like you've seen it on multiple different channels who people of the Christian faith, they may not even talk about their faith all that often, but what you will see is a combative, angry, mean-spirited, accusatory person who it seems like they can't help themselves. And 99.9% of the time, they're saying things that make absolutely no sense. And they're accusing you, somebody who says that they don't know God, don't worship him. They're accusing you of not being a Christian because they have a concept of Christianity that is beyond you who have given yourself to the Lord Jesus Christ. It's so when you see that kind of stuff, you know where it's coming from because it's confusion. And my Bible says God's not the author of confusion. You may have one of them NIVs or something. I don't know what yours says. If you have an NIV, by the way, throw that in the wastebasket and get yourself a Bible. Do yourself a favor. I don't want to throw the Bible away, D. It's not the Bible. Throw it away. The two gentlemen who led the way for that translation, who said that they wanted a more accessible Bible, were students of a woman named Helena Blavatsky. And if you know anything about Madame Blavatsky, she was not a Bible believer. I'm sorry, she was a Bible believer. She was just a Satanist. Well, shit fire. Sorry, folks. I really want to show y'all that so y'all can see this ugly, mean-spirited thing that was wanting to beat me up. I've showed it before on episode, whatchamacallit. So if you want to go back and look at that one. Oh, there it is. Teenager Bigfoot. Well, I'll be doggone. See? Persistence paid off. All right, ladies and gentlemen. This was in Brown Springs again. You've heard me talk about it ad nauseum. Probably seen this little slice of footage before, but this beady-eyed, big-headed, mean-spirited, pimple-faced, squeaky-voiced teenager is the one that was always trying to give me some sort of, he was always trying to give me some sort of trouble. For dry ass no reason. I didn't do none of this thing. I was always respectful. I didn't mess with none of their structures. I tried my best not to be disruptive in any kind of way. I didn't go in there. The only thing I did is whistle, and they seemed to like that. Last not the last episode, but the one before that, when Scrappy Doo first came on here with me, we were talking about a time where we were about to leave. They were throwing rocks, and she was with me. And if they're doing anything weird, I don't want to take my kid in there. You know what I'm saying? And you know, she was disappointed, but like we turned around, we left, we got back in the vehicle, and it was like the little ones. They started whistling. And I don't know, it was madness. And I changed the tune on them, and they didn't like it. Oh, well, I got to do it a different way. Sometimes the file, you have to upload it because it won't display through StreamYard for some reason. So that's an easy fix. I say that. Yeah, I got y'all with that CERN thing. I mean, you know how long it took putting that together? I'm not about to play y'all no 15 minutes of it. Come on now. All right, do it this way. Boom. So no questions. It is pretty late. What y'all got going over? I ain't been in chat in a minute. What y'all got? Y'all got that Yahoo dating site going again in here? If you're on the BDRP chat, if you're in the BDRP chat during the live show, you're looking for love in all the wrong places, Jack. And for the people listening at home afterwards, I'm 100% sure nobody's doing that. I'm just giving them a hard time. So, hey, this is a call to arms from one of my fellow soldiers. I know y'all are an eclectic group. If there is anybody who's listening to this right now, who'll listen afterwards, that's savvy with computers, I'm a jack of all trades. You know, I break them down. You know, this what I'm on right now talking to y'all on is a Frankenstein's monster. It's the combination of like 2 laptops and a desktop, and you know it's doing its thing. But I have some questions about breaking things down and the motherboards and stuff because I don't want to mess anything up. And I have a pretty gnarly graphics card and motherboard. I just need somebody to walk me through a few things. So if you're willing to do that, my email is oklahomados@gmail.com. That'd be fantastic. I'll sing at your wedding. Don't let the gravel voice fool you. I got some pipes. All right, here we go. So I got to share the whole screen. It's a short clip, so forgive me for that. And boom. All right, can y'all see it now? Can y'all see that? All right, yeah, you can. All right. This is super duper stabilized and color corrected. This was a brand new camera. And it's one of those times I was out there by myself. I was going through there. What you see right in front of you, the arch, use that for a frame of reference. And this was a decent camera. I've never had an anomaly like this before or afterwards. Super weird. As you can see in the background, because like I said, it's a short clip. But the way it's color corrected, he stands out and it's green. Even now you can see the nose. You see the symmetry with the eyes and the mouth. You see that thing hanging out of its mouth. It was eating something. And as I'm walking through there, I'm walking down this trail. I was leaving actually. And there was a lot of weird racket going on from this area. It sounded like something like every now and again would just start throwing stuff. And it was this bastard. So here we go. Whoops. Whoops. All right. See a little bit closer. You can see the eyes moving, all that kind of stuff. Um, the reason I zoomed in, the reason I was so close and zoomed in on them, I'm a savage. Don't get me wrong. Like the Lord surgically removed fear from me, but He didn't surgically remove intellectualism and common sense from me. Uh, I thought, sure enough, and I don't know why it's so dark. Besides the color correction, but it was a little bit darker than this tree right here. I told you to use for frame of reference, right? A little bit darker than that. I thought it was a tree stump, and I zoom in on it, and like it moves its face towards me a little bit, like it knew I'd seen it, and it's like glaring at me, and I was like, "Oh snap!" And I remember pointing past it and saying, I mumbled something to myself because like I didn't know if like it was going to come out there and whoop my ass if it knew that I saw it. You know what I mean? So I just, better safe than sorry. And I remember pointing like directly past it and saying, "Ooh, look at this," and casually walking out. I don't suggest anybody ever run from these things. Um, I don't know where the beast in them starts, and if you run from a predator, it's gonna its instincts are it's gonna give chase, and you're not gonna outrun this thing. This is the one that rushed me. There's no doubt in my mind, and it was. If it stood up, I think it'd be maybe my height, maybe a little bit smaller, but it's broad. Like it was built like a linebacker. Let's see. I wonder if I can make it slow mo, audio, video. Zoom. No. Man. Oh well. So zooming in. See its jaw moving a little bit. And even right there, like as blurry as it is. And this is like before you had all this shakiness, this weirdness, right? You can even see its eyes. Something, and see how the upper lip's like bent in. It's chewing on something. The big one in the field you saw still gets me. D. Which one? The alpha male? The alpha male that was in that field. And Kirk Stokes always goes hard in the paint. He told me that, bro, and like all that clicked in all at once when I saw it. He said that the big ones, the alphas, like to stand in fields that's surrounded on all sides by trees. And guess where he was? And I remember asking like, why? Like, what's the purpose of it? And Kirk's just real smooth and like always got this laid back demeanor and sound in his voice. He's like, I don't know, brother. That's something they just like to do. I was like, okay, well, and sure enough, that's where it was. So yeah, there it is, chewing. And of course you can see other stuff behind it. And folks, that's a nest. Here's talk about nests all the time. If you look, there is trees sticking up. Man, and see where I stopped it at. You can see the ethereal crap too. Now that I'm looking at this, I want to try to do some more to it. There's only so much you can do because it's a copy of a copy, first off. And but like again, I'm seeing like more ethereal stuff. And like if you look at the creature and you go to his right and look to your left, you'll see something that's see-through. But right behind that, it looks like another physical one. You can see like the little strands of hair. And I've seen this a million times in footage. You'll see a physical one. And this weird spirit stuff that when it manifests, you don't see it with the naked eye, but when it manifests, when you're looking at film, it looks like cartoon. It's just real cartoonish features, which makes it even creepier if it looked like, American Werewolf in London or something. Ooh, what a wicked thing. All right, I wish y'all could see my mouse. again, to the, what would be the right of the creature, right underneath the branch where it starts to arch, there's a face. It looks like a witch with like horns or something going back. Ugh. And she's got this big smile on her face and like missing some teeth on the side. That's crazy. I mean, am I tripping? Do y'all see what I'm like? Let me get back over here. Are y'all seeing what I'm talking about? Like the arch right here, and it's like a faded face. It's back there. You see the eyes, and then there's this long pointed nose like a witch. You know what? I'm gonna do, and there's one on its belly. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna do y'all one better than this. I'm going to, I just told y'all at the beginning of the show how I used to do it. Me and Doc Brown are going to get in the DeLorean and go back to the future. I'm going to break this little short thing down at 60 frames per second. And yeah, I'll bring it back and I'll clean it up. I'll do some more color correction to it, because the main focus is always what I focus on. But then, like even Kumbo said, man, you know, when you go back over footage that you haven't looked at in years, you'll see stuff that you haven't seen before. And sure enough, every time. Miss Tina P said, "How tall do I think it was?" I'm right at 6 feet, so 5'9", 5'10". I've never seen it like standing straight up before. Before, like when it bluff charged me, it was like on all fours with its elbows pointed out, and its knees were, I don't know, look weird, looked like a hermit crab. I think that's what really threw me off, because it was just so weird. Like, I don't know any other way to say it. But yeah, like I said, I go hard in the paint. I'm a field investigator, not a researcher. I get close to the creature. I don't mess with dookie. I don't mess with hair. I don't take plaster Paris out and get footprints. You want to see the creature? Call your boy. Call Uncle D. I'll take you to go see the creature. Straight up. And there's the Pepsi challenge. That's just like one piece of footage. But, you know, it is what it is. I sincerely appreciate y'all joining me so late at night. I didn't plan to go this long, but I'm glad I did. Y'all are fantastic. I'm DDoS, and I will see y'all tomorrow. If you haven't already, click your bell. There'll be a lot of content coming out. Make sure that if you haven't, subscribe. And if you would, hit the like button. It helps us out in the algorithm. And like Johnny Cass said, get a rhythm when you get the blues. An algorithm. But y'all have a great night.